Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Nerdcast, the Olde Nerdcast. I'm your host, Devin, joined as always with Justin.
Hi.
And with Kelly.
Hello.
So, first off, I have to get used to doing the obnoxious housekeeping that I never ever do. So I'm gonna say something that I've always hated hearing. If you like this video, like or subscribe to this channel. It's the most
in the biz they call it a call to action.
Yeah, it's a call to action, and I never
Give them that call
do
to
it.
action right off the bat.
I never do it. And I feel like I probably should start doing it. So, all you new people who are starting to watch this video, I know there are a couple of you out there. Some of you have commented on the Facebook post. Awesome, appreciate it. Keep commenting. Like us, subscribe, share the links, all that stuff. You know how this goes. Don't make me fucking tap dance up here like that.
Old Gil's a dancing
Old
for
Gil's
you.
a dancing.
Those calicos will rust up on you. Oh, make the sale, Gil. Make the sale.
Oh man, classic, you know, and appropriate because I've been watching a lot of Simpsons on
Disney
I've
Plus.
been watching it a lot on FX before Disney.
Yeah.
And now I just basically jumped over to Disney. To do all
Disney
of that.
made it even easier. It's
It's like my
hey,
one
baby,
sub.
You got all your Simpsons and your Star Wars and your Marvel right here. All you got to do is pay us like $5.50 a month. You know?
Yeah,
it's
it's pretty brutal.
yeah.
But speaking of, this is obviously we're gonna talk about episode 3 of The Mandalorian later on in this show. I just finished watching it for the second time not too long ago, and I'll save my thoughts for it for later. But it's definitely an episode we're talking about.
I won't.
For certain.
Dope. Anyway.
All right, let's get through some news items first, though. So, Kelly, what's first on the docket?
All right, first up, according to Deadline, Noah Hawley in final talks to direct the 4th Star Trek movie in the new Kelvin timeline, the new rebooted series, pretty much.
Okay, cool. So he directed some episodes of Legion. He was the showrunner for Legion, wasn't he?
He was.
Yes.
Yeah, he was the showrunner
And
for Legion.
something else. He created
Fargo.
something else.
I think he
Fargo.
he did Fargo also. I think he cut his teeth on Bones, but he also
Bones.
did.
I did some music for Bones.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
That sounds right. That sounds
Yeah.
right. That sounds like would be one of the you did CSI, right? Or Cold Cases or something.
I did a lot, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like Bones would slide right in
I
there.
did CSI and Cold Case.
Yeah,
And Bones.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of Fargo, not a whole lot, so I don't really have an opinion on that. But I absolutely loved what I saw of Legion.
You never finished it.
I didn't. It was so like the second season. For some reason, like there was just other stuff happening that like I would watch an episode and then I would skip one, I would miss one, and then I would just be too far behind. Like that's a show that it takes a lot to watch. It's like watching a David Lynch.
It demands.
It really does. It's basically like a successor to Twin Peaks almost.
Oh, wow.
It's a very, very strange show, but it's very well done and fun to watch.
It's an X-Men comic, right?
Yeah, it's based on it's in the X-Men universe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say this. He's done Fargo.
Yeah.
Fargo Season 2 is one of my favorite seasons of any show in recent memory.
Is that the one with Obi-Wan Kenobi in it?
That's 3.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. He also he had a movie that came out recently too.
Yes.
The Lady in the Sky or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up.
Lucy in the Sky.
Lucy in the Sky. Yeah.
Which supposedly was not a super.
Yeah.
Oh.
It apparently bombed.
Yeah.
And bombed a lot worse than I thought it did. I was thinking I went to go look up the total to write down for this story.
Yeah.
And I saw a number and I thought, well, that number can't be right. That's got to be like first night money. It never got released internationally. Its domestic box office was $319,000. I'm not shitting you.
Wait, how long was it in theaters?
I don't know, but yeah,
Probably not very long. I mean, it was like a
$319,000 off of a $27 million budget.
Oof.
Well, I will say this.
Oof.
That is $319,000 more than I've made with any of my non-existent movies.
That is for certain true.
I'll give him that.
That is true. Well, I mean, and it's kind of interesting then that, like, I mean, he's got obviously a lot of cred from those shows he's run.
Yeah.
His first foray into films seems like an epic disaster, but that didn't seem to keep people away from giving him the reins of Star Trek, which is a pretty epic franchise to trust with somebody. So I'm still looking forward to it. I'm super looking forward to it. Like right now, Star Trek is kind of going through like a renaissance of sorts. You know, you have Discovery and Picard's about to come out. And
I have not watched Discovery, and
I only saw the first season.
And my friend Zach tells me it's good. He's like, it's good. You'll like it. And I trust. I was like, I need to watch it, but I don't know where I can watch it. I mean, I guess I can get it on Amazon, but it's on CBS All Access.
CBS All Access.
I mean, can they just put it on Disney Plus?
They haven't bought Paramount yet.
You just buy. They haven't.
Yeah.
I don't. Just make it easy for me, Mike. I almost said Michael Eisner. Make it easy for me, Michael Eisner. He's like. I'm not involved anymore.
I've watched Discovery Season 1. It was really good. I need to watch Season 2, but I mean, I'm really just looking forward to Picard.
The one thing I just need to add, the fact that he got this movie after Lucy bombing, I'm still excited for it, but I must say, I don't want to hear shit about anyone, especially like Ava DuVernay, like, oh, she shouldn't get a movie again because of Wrinkle in Time Bomb.
Oh, yeah.
Because this was...
say that are racist people. I mean...
That's true. I agree with that.
I haven't really heard anyone say she shouldn't have. I mean, she's doing the New Gods, right?
Let's hope so.
She's doing something else, wasn't? She's there's a show on Netflix. Was she involved with When They See Us?
Yes.
Yeah, that's getting just killer reviews. Man, making a studio movie is really tough, and I don't know if Lucy in the Sky was a studio movie or not, but having to make a movie in a studio film with notes from the exexecutives and that can really pretty much hollow out.
We talked about
the best of talents.
We talked about this the other day. Like some of my favorite indie directors, they've put out their films, that they made in their way. And then, they get acclaim, and then they suddenly get billed for doing a big production. Like Jose Padilla. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. He directed a Brazilian director who did Elite Squad and Elite Squad Enemy Within, like a couple of my favorite movies. And then he was tasked with doing the RoboCop reboot. And he had such a bad time on that movie because of the way that the studio was trying to run it.
Yeah.
That he just said he's not going to do studio movies anymore. He's not doing that sort of stuff. So he went from RoboCop to doing Narcos. I forget what Narcos was awesome. I forget what he's working on now. But I mean, that's another one. And of course, Josh Trank.
Yeah, and I know firsthand. A director that made a studio movie and had critical acclaim as an indie filmmaker.
Yeah.
And moved up to the studio movie, and he was like, "Done with this, never again, not doing this ever again."
Did I meet that particular dude?
No.
Okay, because I felt like that's a different story. But no, that happens a lot. So I'm kind of concerned a little bit, just a little bit, that might be a pattern that this kind of falls into. But he, in fairness, he worked with two big studios before and running a show for FX, running two shows for FX, one of which is based off of a Marvel property, which has to be overseen by,
Who knows, man?
So I would imagine like they gave him a bunch of leeway because they would have to for a show like that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think
he's capable.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure. My concern, I guess, is that the studio is gonna do with him what they've done to so many other great young indie directors.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, wait, it's doing it again. Hold on. We'll stop this right now.
Oh, you can control
I can't control it with my phone.
Kicked on a little earlier this time.
It did. Well,
It's not even as cool.
Right now, I don't know. Like, I couldn't hear it in the last recording, but
it was in there.
The air conditioner just kicked on. So that's what this is all about. I guess Justin has the power to control it from his phone. That's incredible.
I did have one thought, though. The Star Trek movies are making less money every time.
Well,
Beyond made over $100 million less than Into Darkness. So that's another thing I'm just thinking of. I'm hoping doesn't happen again.
Yeah, Into Darkness was like, that was their big blockbuster. That was like the blockbuster Star Trek movie from that reboot series. And it's kind of weird because like when it came out, like the initial burst of responses was like, oh, this is a great movie. But then, like, immediately after, when people actually started thinking about it, it was like, ooh, maybe this wasn't such a great movie.
Into Darkness?
Yeah, Into Darkness.
See, to me, I like a movie like that, whatever you leave the theater thinking that's where it's at? That's it. If you're already like, wait a minute. You know what I mean? It's like, slow down, bro.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? None of it was real. It was a bunch of sets.
Well,
and
you see,
digital effects.
And I think what happened was like because of the trailing thought of Into Darkness not being as great as it was when people first saw it. I think that they gave Simon Pegg they gave him the reins of Beyond
for writing,
yes. And they tried to make it like more of a Star Trek, closer to a Star Trek movie, but the Star Trek movies have a track record for a reason, like they're kind of hit and miss, and Beyond was okay, but it wasn't a great movie in my opinion. Beyond
was just fine. It was kind of like Solo, in regards, you know what I mean? To Star Trek, as Solo was to Star Wars. I think that I liked it. But I don't think, in my opinion, this is my opinion, Star Trek doesn't work that well in a movie format.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
It works very much in the episode of the week, new place, new planet, new conundrum. What's it going to be? And to me, it's at its best like that. And even the ebb and flow, like this episode was great. This episode wasn't so great, but it was okay because last week was great. This episode was pretty good. Right. This episode was really good. That's all part of the charm of Star Trek. Well, that's because
when you have those episodes, then you could build, even if the episode itself is bad, there's still character building going on.
Yeah.
So you could still take something from that into the next episode. And if that episode is awesome, then it's made more so awesome because you're buying into the characters in a way that you wouldn't in a movie because you're with them week after week. So, Star Trek lends itself much better to that sort of thing. I don't know what this guy said about how he's taken Star Trek, if he's taken it any sort of different direction. But, I have faith in him. He's a good director. So, moving on. What's our next story?
Okay, video game Death Stranding is getting a lot of nominations at the Game Awards, but it's raising questions.
Death Stranding.
Oh, sorry, guys. Once again, I show the game level.
What does that even mean? It's like Death Stranding almost makes as much sense as Death Stranding.
We've had a lot of conversations about
Death Stranding.
about the names of Japanese games.
Yes.
And how they don't always make anything close to approximating sense.
Well, what I will say from talking to multiple people that have worked with Japanese developers in these things is the Japanese guys know the names don't make any sense in English, and they don't give a shit.
Well, there you go. They just don't give a shit.
They don't.
What is it? Infinite Undiscovery?
And that was the one, the guy, I was working with a voice talent, I guess, who had worked in some with that, and they were saying, I think he'd worked on that game, but I don't know for a fact. But he had said that they were like, that this doesn't translate. Translates to gobbledygook in English. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. And the developers on the Japanese side said, we think it communicates what we want to communicate. And that was the end of it. And then I told that story to another person that worked with another storied Japanese publisher game company. And they said, that sounds exactly right.
It sounds pretty...
It sounds exactly like something that a company like they would say.
There is an anime or video game called Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. I remember looking at that, and I stared at it long and hard trying to figure out what that meant. Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. Anyways, Death Stranding. So, I guess apparently the game has been nominated for a number of different game awards, despite the fact that its critical acclaim leaves something to be desired. I haven't played the game yet. I think it's kind of interesting that, do you think these game awards thing really matter even? This is something that I've always kind of struggled with. When I was in the game industry, I was fighting in the trenches. I always argued, Game Awards should be as prestigious as the Academy Awards. Why? They sell just as much, and people blah blah blah. Why? But then, as I I guess maybe I don't want to use the word matured because that kind of makes me sound pretentious. But I can't think of another word. So
when I began to drink wine instead of beer, I learned what a cheese plate was.
As I began to I guess mature, I don't know. I kind of moved away from the idea that Game Awards should be considered as prestigious as Academy Awards, and B, that they matter even at all a little bit.
See, I'll go one further. I don't think Academy Awards matter.
So you don't think Academy? You don't? Wow.
I have joined you in that. I used to be a huge nerd that woke up in the mornings and skipped school to hear the nominations pre-internet and pre-phone days. I'm the biggest movie guy. I have not watched in the last 5 or 6 years.
Here's the thing. They're television shows. Hello, that's it.
Yeah.
They're television shows.
Yeah.
It's all about they constantly are messing with the metrics. Like, we added some categories, we added some more people to get more people to watch because no one's watching. It's all about viewers and watching, and it doesn't. It's dumb. It's stupid.
But people people still play for those awards though.
They do, but a lot of it has to do with marketing and things like that. You know? It's like if a movie gets nominated, it means it might get re-released in the box office, might do even better when it goes to streaming or home video or any of that kind of stuff.
That's why, and that's so. And I guess maybe the consternation with this particular story is that Kojima has a super tight relationship with I forget the guy's name, but they're saying that these awards are a direct result of being super friendly with someone who is either on high up in the Game Awards, the group that runs these awards or whatnot, and it's like, how is that different from any other kind of award thing? And B, why should this matter at all?
Okay, A, it's not different than any other award thing. I mean, they say that the guy who's in charge of it all, he doesn't actually vote. He just produces the thing. It's like,
yeah, that doesn't have
give me a
weight on the scale.
All the guys that work with him, come on, man. And honestly, it could be like anything. It's like these things don't happen in a vacuum, right? I mean, the people that vote on this, I mean, the Kojima guy, and I don't know a ton about him, but I do know that he was making Silent Hill. He kind of got screwed over by Konami. He couldn't go get an award. He couldn't even go on the stage.
Well, they kept him from going on. They prevented him from going to the awards to accept the award for Metal Gear Solid, whichever one that was, I forget. But somebody had to accept it on his behalf because they wouldn't let him go there. And that, they earned a lot of bad credit. Konami is a terrible company. They did a lot of terrible things for most of their workers, honestly. There's a lot of stories about, just their workplace not being very cool. But in particular, because Kojima has such a strong following, treating him that way publicly put them in a bad place.
Sure, and that was last year, a couple years ago. And so this is his new game that he's made since he left the studio. Yeah. It came out. It was a big swing. I mean, anything you want to say about this game, it was a big swing.
It was a huge swing.
It's nuts, crazy balls, crazy monkey balls. I mean, it's nuts. But it looks interesting. I'm not sure I would play it, but it looks like something I might watch all the cutscenes strung together in a YouTube video. But my point is that it could be that it's probably a combination of multi things. The guy's his buddy, and it's kind of like this guy needs a win. He made his game. It's kind of like out. We're gonna give him some awards. He make a big swing. He's
kind of like Scorsese getting the Academy Award for The Departed, right?
Yeah. Or like Steely Dan getting the all the Grammys for Two Against Nature. And when that happened, I had a friend of mine. That was the year that the Marshall Mathers record came out.
Yeah.
He was like, I just don't understand how Eminem is the biggest thing in music right now. It's like everything. How could he possibly not get the album of the year? And I was like, you have to realize, Steely Dan has been important since the 70s. It's super important to a ton of people in the music industry that vote for the Grammys that don't even know who Eminem is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're back and they made a new record after all these years. And, maybe the record didn't have any radio singles, but that's what those guys aren't about. You got to realize for every young hip dude, in the recording academy, there's 50 or 60 old dudes working the console, you know what I mean, or mastering, who's like, Steely, the Dan's got a new record. And I mean, I just couldn't. Eventually, he was like, I think I understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, I'm sorry, dude. That's just the way it is. And that's something like this. It doesn't matter. Good for Kojima. Who gives a shit? Play your video games.
Yeah,
your
exactly,
video games.
exactly.
If they bring you joy. It's just something else to get pissed off about. To get those I know this is not Gamergate, but it kind of sounds like what I want is ethics in gaming journalism. You know what I mean? I need ethics. It's
such a strong demand for ethics. All right, what's next on the docket?
All right, this comes from the Wall Street Journal. The Justice Department might remove what's known as the Paramount consent decrees, which I guess you know a little about this, Devin, right? Did you look it up?
I read a little bit of the article. Can you give us the top line?
Yeah, it's all right, I gotta go to the browser now. Sorry, we're still working this out. According to the Wall Street Journal, the Justice Department is moving to completely wipe out the Paramount consent decrees, a ruling of which for the past 70 years has regulated how movie studios distribute films in theaters. Pretty much, this is going to try to make studio. They're trying to let studios own theaters again, which hasn't been a thing for 70 plus years.
Right. So I guess the crux of this story is
horizontal or vertical integration.
Yeah. Like
it's gonna.
Like, you know, Disney's gonna own a theater.
They technically already own the El
theater,
Capitan.
yeah.
It's like a weird rolling thing, though.
They got to pass on that.
Yeah.
They applied for it.
Yeah.
But the point is they had to go through that process.
And now soon that process is gonna go out the window.
Yeah,
and
now they can just be like Netflix theaters, you know, and Disney theaters.
Yeah.
You know? Which...
What is... Okay, so... Before I have a feeling I know our opinions on this, but let me just ask this: what is the best case scenario? What is the most positive of this particular?
How could this be cool?
Yeah, how could this be cool?
Okay, so everyone still goes to the Alamo. Yeah. Everyone still goes because to me that's the best theater. You know?
Yeah.
Everyone still goes to AMC's where I think we've got those here, but I don't ever.
Yeah, we've got a few.
Everyone still goes to Regal and all the places they still go in places and those kind of startup places that are kind of trying to do the Alamos thing, only not as cool. Movie grills,
Flicks Brewhouse here.
Yeah. Those
Austin.
places are still doing their thing, and then there's just like Netflix theaters which have like a bunch of Netflix movies on, you know what I mean, that you could theoretically only see in your house, but now you can go and see, you know, the what's the new movie?
The King?
No, the one with
Irishman.
I wanted to say I Heard You Paint Houses, but that's the name of the book it's based on. You can go see The Irishman in the theater now. You can go see, you know...
Marriage Story is their next award one that's about to come out next week.
You can go and see a whole bunch of... Because, you know, I mean, like, a lot of movies that might have gotten made in the 90s, you know what I mean? Indie films that would have gotten a release. And a lot of them now just go right to Amazon, right to
service.
Netflix. Yeah.
And they don't get that theatrical
You don't
release.
get to go sit in the movie theater and watch them. And, you know, going to movies is cool, you know? And I like sitting in my living room and watching stuff too.
So then you're saying like then it potentially provides an avenue for more indie films to have a theatrical release.
Yeah, maybe Netflix has its own theater and you can see all kinds of stuff. Maybe Disney's have their own theater and you can see maybe things from their catalog. You can see Indiana Jones. I don't know. Is that in the Disney? I mean, it's Lucasfilm.
Yeah, it is.
It should be.
Yeah.
So you can see like, you know, in the theaters, you could go see, you know, maybe they show The Mandalorian on a big screen once a week. That would be awesome, you know. And I'd certainly pay to go see it on a big screen, you know, or they string a few episodes together and do it, you know. I mean, you know, that could be cool. I mean,
okay.
Assuming it doesn't. I mean, let's talk about the ways that it could not be cool.
Yeah, okay, so I mean, this is. I feel like this is just a way to muscle. They're gonna muscle all of because they already do have a lot of control over how films are being distributed to theaters, right?
Yeah.
And they can. I forget what actual percentage they get from the ticket from the revenue.
Yeah.
Like this is why theaters, you know, sell popcorn and sodas and beer and nachos and shit.
That's where they make all their money.
That's where they make all their money because all the revenue for the tickets goes right to the studio. But if the studio can get all the revenue for the tickets and also sell beer and pop and nachos and shit, then what's going to stop them from doing that and just not sending movies to Alamo anymore? You know?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. You know, big movies that could bring in people to see movies at like places like AMC and the Alamo. People like Disney and you know and other studios, I guess, that could make deals. You know, I mean like. You know, another studio, Sony, could make a deal with Netflix.
Yeah.
And they could start a chain of theaters that only shows Netflix and Sony movies. And Disney could, you know, make a deal with AMC where they only show Disney movies at AMC. And then people like Alamo or any of those people in the center are like, dude, we can't get any Marvel movies in here. We can't get any Star Wars in here. We can't get, you know what I mean? And that could be a big problem. The thing is, you know, and it's just... You know, you hate to be negative about stuff, but anytime like they make less rules on companies,
yeah,
like
this is just a continuation of like the heart. This is going into our far left podcast called the Crimson Flag. Welcome, comrades.
Pretty soon, you know, you're having to put pills in your drinking water. You know what I mean? You know, I mean it's like. It's just like anytime they basically say like, we're gonna lessen the reins on you guys. We'll let the free market sort it out. All of a sudden you got Flint, Michigan, and
Oh yeah, I mean, and we already have a situation
track record.
Like there's already a lot of like we should be moving towards more antitrust, not less.
Yeah.
Like and this is a huge shift away from antitrust laws in a market that controls a lot. Like it's more media. It's more of a media deregulation thing.
Yeah.
And it's if this happens, it's gonna have terrible ramifications. I mean, because consider who owns most of these media companies.
Well, that's the thing, and it's like I heard a statistic somewhere, and this may not be totally true. I'm just pulling this from what I remember, but I heard that it was either in 2008 or 2019, 38% of all tickets sold in movie theaters were for Disney movies. 38%.
Yeah, because
and that's
they
the way
own...
it is. That's the way it is right now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So now, and Disney already strong-armed theaters with The Last Jedi, in pretty kind of shitty ways, And I'm cool with. I don't hate on Disney at all, but I mean, some of the shit they tried to pull with Last Jedi, making them keep it in the theaters for this amount of time.
Yeah,
I think they got called out on it, and then they kind of dialed it back, but. It's like, but obviously they have they will do it if given, what I'm saying? They'll play hardball if given the opportunity to play hardball.
Yeah.
And so now all of a sudden they can be like, yeah, we would like you to, play this movie for this long, or you're not going to get this movie. It's like, we don't want to play that movie.
The more shit they own, the stronger their hand to play that card is. When it was just, Pixar and Disney Animation and whatnot, and, Miramax.
Don't forget Touchstone.
And Touchstone. Does Touchstone still exist?
No.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, wait a second, Touchstone.
That was a deep cut.
Yeah. But, like, when
80s and 90s kids.
When they just had that, then, yeah, they still had weight, but, nothing to the degree of, we also own all the Star Wars stuff. Oh, we also own all the Marvel stuff, like
the problem. I mean, here's one of the things about it is they've been crazy successful with that stuff.
Yeah,
I mean that's the thing. That's what it's allowed them in the classic. You know what I mean? Well, the cream rises to the top, son. It's like you can't really shake a stick at their results. I mean, they bought Marvel and they just turned it into just and people that love Marvel, they fucking love those movies.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And like the funny thing is, like when they bought Marvel, like it was met with revelry from a lot of people because like it was just like, oh, they're finally gonna get X-Men. They get Fox too. They also bought Fox, so Fox movies are all part of that.
People are super happy
and
about
like,
that.
Oh, we're gonna. And it's like I'm happy too. I'm a huge X-Men person. I want to see those movies.
But see, that was after they bought Marvel. I mean, everyone knows what to expect.
Because they bought Marvel and they brought it up to like such a level. And then now they bought Fox, and it's like, oh, we're gonna get Fox movies at that Marvel studio quality.
Yeah. Pixar,
so
just killing it.
Just killing it constantly.
Every single movie that comes out from Pixar is generally really great to absolutely amazing. And, nothing really falls, you know what I mean? Like The Good Dinosaur was just like pretty good. It was good. You know what I mean? But it wasn't, but that was just a misstep.
Yeah.
Their missteps are like, oh, it was just pretty good. I mean, say what you want about Star Wars. Every one of those movies has made over $1 billion, except for Solo, which was Bob Iger's fault. He wanted to put it out in May, which was right after Infinity War. It was really, if that movie had come out in December, like they usually have been, maybe it wouldn't have gone to $1 billion, but it
would have gotten close.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like so. Yeah, this turn of events, we're gonna have to keep an eye on this one.
Yeah, I know. But when you look at another studio like Warner, and it's just like fucking shit sandwich after shit sandwich.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll hit with Joker, they'll hit one, but it's a lot rockier. You know what I mean?
So like, what happens when like a really shitty place? Like, I'm sorry, Warner Brothers, we're picking on you here. You're not really shitty, but you gotta up your game a little. Well, so they have the ability then to have a Warner Brothers theater where they'll just show all their movies, and like, is that beneficial for them, or would it make more sense for Warner Brothers to partner with Disney to show movies in a Disney theater? Like either way, they're gonna extract the opportunity for other theaters to show their stuff.
The problem is that it's classic. The reason they made the rules was to keep the people that were making the stuff from making the rules.
Yeah.
It's very much the government picking winners and losers depending on how you feel about that.
Yeah.
They basically said, because movies were like, movie studios back in the day, that whenever they made these laws originally, in the 30s or whatever, they were like, well, we make the fucking movies. You know what I mean?
Right.
Dude, putting a projector in a building with a big piece of paper on the other end of it is way cheaper than making these movies. You know what I mean? We'll do that, or you'll play by our rules, or we'll just do that. That's, we lose the budget for that in catering every day. You know what I mean? So, and then the government came in and said, okay, hold on, you're putting a bunch of people out of business. This can be its own thriving industry, and you can still do your thing. So we're going to make some rules to keep you out of that. And the idea is
right. I mean, basically, it's regulating the market,
exactly.
so that invisible hand doesn't crush all of the workers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and now you take those things off, and there's a good possibility they can do that. Maybe places like Alamo will be able to rise above because they offer something beyond just going and seeing a movie. Almo's a brand.
Yeah,
you go there.
It's almost vaudevillian.
Exactly. You watch the stuff before the movies. You watch. It's the vibe.
It's the watch parties and all that sort of stuff. We'll have to see.
So maybe it'll raise the game.
Maybe it'll force theaters to not just rest on serving bar food while showing a movie. They'll have to do more things. Maybe within their community. Alamo is very active within the Austin community.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is with Alamo, LA, but I'm certain it's probably the same sort of thing. But there are plenty of other theaters in LA. But
in LA, they have the ArcLight.
They have the ArcLight.
That's the one always hear the movie people talking about.
Yeah. I saw Rogue One there when I was in LA last time. It was fine. Yeah. I still like the Alamo better.
All right, what's next on the docket?
Okay, any Elon Musk fans in the house? Because I have some bad news for you. He blew a lot of money trying to build the Homer.
It's funny because I thought the exact same thing. I thought that about the episode of The Simpsons. Look
at the face. Man. Look at the face. You know the person searched for that one like perfectly.
Oh yeah, they definitely look for like. It's funny like whenever I see if I go to Huffington Post or something, and it's always like a bad article about like some politician. They always have like the perfect photo of like that politician just looking anguished
like, spaghetti.
Yeah, exactly. They did that with Elon Musk. So I guess he unveils the Cybertruck, which looks like the blockiest, ugliest fucking thing I've ever seen.
Was I also thinking like, remember the cars from that Free Jack movie?
Free Jack, yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad I threw in Free Jack. Okay,
Jack, that's a good cut.
It looks exactly like those Free Jack cars.
Okay,
no Mick Jagger.
I'm gonna give a shout out to my friend Nick Seeley who put this on Facebook. This is one of the best comments I heard about this.
Let's hear it.
He wrote, "Low polygon count. think I need a better graphics card for this thing to fully render on my screen."
Oh God, that is absolutely true. It looks like a car from like the very first PlayStation.
It looks like the cars from Blade Runner is what it looks like. 2049.
I think that he said that he wanted to kind of go that way.
It does. And you know what?
We are in 2019 November. We are Blade Runner month.
This is Blade Runner month. So if there was ever a year,
Musk on this deal. I think for whatever reason, like. He just gets a ton of shit
because he's a fucking doofus. Elon Musk is a doofus.
I don't think he's a doofus.
He is a doofus for certain. He gets a lot of shit because he brings it on himself. Like the Boring Company or that tunnel hyperloop he wanted to do. Where like the first thing he does before there's any sort of like proof of concept or before there's any sort of like experimentation or anything, he comes out with this video of like, oh, it's gonna be like. This like almost like this I wanted to say submarine, but not a submarine, a subway. It's almost like a subway where you go underground. It's a bunch of people. They load onto these cars.
Pump the air out, and they use maglev, so there's no friction.
But have you seen what the actual thing they built is?
It's a thing for cars.
It's just one car in a really, really claustrophobic tunnel that only goes 40 miles an hour. So, like, you could only travel from point A to point B at 40 miles an hour in a small tunnel.
Honestly, Devin, I think that was the proof of concept. I don't think that,
No. Look, because, like, I guess in a certain sense it was sort of a proof of concept.
Yeah, and it's specifically what the Hyperloop, as it's been built in certain aspects, and what he built with the Boring Company are kind of two different things.
Well, no, I mean... when they were unveiling that, they weren't saying like, oh, this is just a proof of concept. What they were saying was we had to do these things to get this to work. Like, so there were things that they were fleshing out while they were implementing it, that they realized, oh, we're not going to be able to do it the way we thought. We have to scale it down. We're not going to be able to have the tunnel the way that we want it. We're going to have to do this. We're going to have to do that. Like, there were a bunch of things that came out while they were implementing it that changed it radically from what they were selling it as.
Yeah, I mean,
But that's just one example of his doofuses. Well, I mean, there's the submarine thing, and then he calls the dude like a pedophile.
That is doofus, and the bullshit he pulled with the stock price. I mean,
yeah.
But here's the thing I'll say about Elon Musk. I mean, the guy is obviously, dealing with the, he's not the best at dealing with the nexus of
running a
CEO
company,
you know what I mean,
and being the face of the company,
a public figure.
Being the face of the company.
However,
and then also running the company.
What I do like about Elon Musk though is that he doesn't like fuck around with incremental bullshit.
No, like I'll give him that. Like he's definitely a swing for the fences kind of person.
I want to fucking make the future. Like my brother and I, for instance, back in years and years ago, we went to the auto show and the state fair, and there were all these concept cars, and they're like, these fucking cars are awesome. You know what I mean? They're like, well, this car is a concept we're looking at for 2024. Well, it's like, it's 1996, dude. Well, why can't you make that car look like this now? You obviously made one. You know,
the whole concept car thing is super weird for the auto industry because a lot of the times those cars never get made. A lot of times it's almost like fashion, like a fashion show where you see models on a runway wearing all sorts of crazy shit. And then, like, those things are never going to, like, be sold at a store at a mass market. Like, it's almost about proving certain elements of technology rather than, taking a swing for changing the market in a big way.
But the thing is, it just seems like bullshit. But like, you go there, see an amazing car, and they're like, we can build this.
It is a lot of bullshit.
That's cool. And then like, but right now you can buy these boxy pieces of shit right over here. You're like, oh, okay.
Well, there is a lot of
disappointment.
There is a lot of that too.
And he didn't. He's like, I'm making future cars right now. I'm stamping them out, motherfucker. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? And we're going to space. I'll fucking put some guys down there. We're gonna fucking go up there.
I'm okay, and I'm great with that attitude. But man, you gotta do it. You gotta. And the Tesla cars are doing it. Like they're good cars from what I've heard. There's some problems here and there, but they're generally pretty good cars.
Yeah. I mean, people love those fucking things.
This truck probably in the long run is
probably awesome.
It'll probably work out in the long run, but man, like the design of it on its face it reminds me of a lot of those concept cars where 10, 15, 20 years ago, Toyota would put out a concept for like an electric car that sounded awesome, but it looked like a horrible piece of shit. And you're just looking at it like, I want an electric car, but I don't want to drive that. Why can't you make it look like a normal car?
My brother likes Teslas because he's like,
because they look
Toyota
like a normal car.
And all those companies, Leaf, the Nissan Leaf, those cars look like pieces of like shit. They just they're just like weird little miniature station wagons that are boxy.
So what do we
crappy.
got on the?
You know what you got?
It costs like 40,000, which is in the affordable range.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. That's like how low it is. If that's
Yeah, I don't know if they announced any.
They said it doesn't dent.
Well, they have a video.
No. You guys are really trash talking like this thing right now. But I'm sorry, we need to give a little credit to the integrity of the windows. I got some proof right here to show. we're gonna look and see how strong these windows are.
So these windows are supposed to be what, like armor,
unbreakable
windows.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
All right, I'm getting it. Sorry. Okay, guys.
Wait for it.
This is the best. This is why these things are worth the money.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Well,
maybe that was a little too hard.
I don't think that guy's like a professional pitcher either.
No, I mean, that's.
And he goes for like the second window, right?
That's definitely the sound of them sitting on their dick.
Here we go. It's not going to happen again. No way.
Why did he have him do it the second time? Like the first time should have been enough of a.
Devin, because someone told him that those windows were unbreakable.
Oh, that somebody is filling out an Indeed profile right now.
No shit.
Oh man.
Because the thing is like.
So he lost. How much money did he lose?
$770 million is what they said since.
Wow.
Oof.
Yeah. Oof. More than 20 times what Louis C.K. lost. Here's the thing I think about those cars. I think that those cars they'll figure out why the glass broke.
Yeah.
They'll make it practically unbreakable. They'll do whatever they got to do.
They'll figure out what they need to figure out.
Yeah.
Do you
those
think
cars will come out?
Do you think there's an appetite for people who buy trucks or who want to buy trucks to buy a truck that looks like that?
Yes.
You think there is?
Yes, I do.
Are you one of those people?
No.
Okay. Kelly, are you?
No. Do you think it's because they want to think they're in one of these sci-fi movies they watched 20 years ago?
A car like that, what Elon Musk knows pretty well, I think, is that a car like that is a statement. People bought those fucking Hummers. You know what I mean?
That's
those
true.
huge
But a Hummer still looks like a car.
It looks like a...
It's a Hummer. It's a fucking military vehicle.
It looks like a military... That looks like a future vehicle. People will buy that shit because, A, it's damn near indestructible. You know what I mean? Supposing that same demo, they hit it with a sledgehammer.
They hit the metal panel with the sledgehammer.
And it didn't dent. Now, I have a fucking 2019 Volkswagen Tiguan, and people have just devastated my door panels with their fucking doors. Every day I go out there's a new... And I was thinking, like, to myself a few days ago, I swear to God, as I was literally compounding the paint of somebody else's car off my door. Man, what I wouldn't give for a car that was undentable. Could you imagine an undentable car?
That's
and then
awesome.
they come out, it's like, this car is undentable.
But it looks like Homer's car. I think that's a hill they're not going to be able to get over. Like I'm certain there's a certain subset of people that'll just want to buy a Tesla, but
they'll buy it and then people will think like, I mean, that car, it's like the future, it's cool, and then people will start buying it, and it'll be out there, man.
All right, we'll see. We'll have to check back on this a year from now.
But here's the thing about Elon Musk that he gets, and he does bring a bit on himself, especially the pedo shit. Like what? Like he doesn't know when to quit.
He doesn't know when to quit.
Sometimes you got to know, like, and this is one of the best pieces of advice I've ever saw on VH1's Behind the Music. But Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes once said, sometimes you just got to pay the fucking ticket. You know what I mean? You can get your lawyer, you can go try and fight the ticket, but at the end of the day, you write the justice of a piece of check and you pay the ticket and move on with your life.
All right.
He needs to learn when to do that. You know what I mean?
What's the next story?
All right, last news story. I have a question. Are you guys on meth?
Not at the moment.
Okay, well, South Dakota, they're on it.
So this is the ad campaign, right? Like, who's? Can you read a little bit of that for me?
Let me get down.
It's like South Dakota. I forget if it's
it's South Dakota and the governor Kristi Noem. No, I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong. They launched a new campaign that they think we're on it, like we're gonna take care of it, but it just sounds like meth. We're on it.
Oh, so it's a play on the phrase.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm on it, but
because there's like a big variety of people like talking about we're gonna take care of this meth problem.
So they have like posters, like billboards and shit, where it's like somebody. I wonder if it's like a person that kind of like how they have like those people that just pose for photos for like modeling agencies or whatnot, and then they walk into a subway and it's like, "Do you have genital herpes?" And they're like posing and they're like, "I don't have herpes." I wonder if it's like that. If there's just some model and he's just driving down the street, and he sees a billboard of himself and it says "meth." I'm on it.
Like they got it from Shutterstock.
Yeah, exactly. Like a Shutterstock.
Guy standing in field. He's like,
meth. I'm on it.
Meth.
Like, boy almighty.
We're on it.
Like, I guess on a certain level, I have to commend them for just. I have to imagine that this was a conscious decision. Like meth. I'm on it. Like. This is gonna turn heads. It's gonna make people say what, and then we're gonna have a conversation about the meth problem and how to tackle it. Like I have to imagine that was the decision, and in that regard, I have to give them credit for that.
So you think it was a purposeful like?
It has to be, right?
Here's what I think. I think that I say it's 50-50. It's either that where someone's like we're on it, and then probably someone in the room was like. Well, it kind of seems like you're saying like we're on meth, and the guy's like, I don't see it like that, and then it's like, what do you see it like? And she's like, it's funny when you said, I didn't even think about that until he said it, and it's like, I don't think we were going to see it like that.
And then you think
you know what I mean?
They talk themselves
into it, and a lot of it has to do with the guy who made the first guy who made his stature and because it's very. When they're in the room trying to ideas and advertising, it's very touchy-feely. No one really wants to,
Yeah.
And so they might have kind of, as a group, just missed it. Like had talked themselves into the idea that it wasn't that obvious and it wasn't that big of a deal, and that and then once they had inoculated themselves to the idea, to the idea that was what people were going to perceive. I
don't know, man.
So that's column A.
Yeah,
column B is that someone said meth, we're on it, and someone was like, and it kind of sounds like you're saying on meth, and he's like, yeah, I know. I mean, or maybe he doesn't know. He was like, yeah, it's true, but in a way, it's kind of edgy. It's kind of like, meth, we're on. I mean, even if it has that result, even if it goes viral, it's more people are talking about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And they're like, yeah, it's right. I mean, I think it's a risk we take. I say we go to the client with it and see what they say, and if they dig it, we we move forward with it. It's either. Because the thing is like, the agency had to come up with it, and they had to present it to the client.
Yeah.
And people with the client, and the client, they had to like really ruminate over it. So the idea of like how many people could look at this and not see that coming, you know what I mean? I
feel like that happens a lot though, for some weird reason. Like there's a lot of things that
I've experienced like certain things that happen where you're just like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like certain ideas get all the way to done, and then and it's like there's some kind of critical thing in the idea, kind of a conceptual flaw that either people didn't see, but they probably did, but they were so kind of like baked into the workflow of this other idea that they convinced themselves it wasn't that big of a deal, and everyone just kind of bought into it together. And once you had one other person on board, it was easy to believe that it wasn't a big deal, and then boom. You know what I mean?
And boom.
I don't know.
And then a couple of yokels from Texas are talking about it.
Well, everyone's talking.
Everyone's talking. I think I commend them for the effort. I thought that was a really funny, unintentionally, but I feel like it was. I feel like it almost. I guess maybe I kind of want to talk myself into thinking that it was intentional.
It might have been, and I'm sure if you ask them now,
they'll probably say
be
it
like,
was intentional.
Well, of course it was.
Yeah.
The fact that you're talking about it means it was brilliant. You know what I mean? And, maybe they're right. As we said in the last podcast, there is no such thing as bad publicity.
What is there in South Dakota besides meth? Isn't Mount Rushmore there? Or is that North Dakota?
See, you don't know. I just call that the Dakota. That's all.
It's the Dakota.
I group them together.
I mean, I know.
Sorry to anyone in Dakota.
Isn't the Keystone Pipeline or what's left of it?
I think it's going through there. Maybe the Bakken Shell. I think that's where they're getting all that oil. They have like an oil renaissance that's been going on there for like a while now.
Not enough, obviously, if that many people are on meth.
Well, I think probably plenty, because they have a bunch of oil money, and what are they going to do in South Dakota? They're going to go to the beach.
Yeah.
They're probably going to spend it on meth, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't see meth as a drug that people with lots of money do. You know what
I mean? Dude, there was that one pastor from like a Colorado megachurch who had a bunch of meth. Yeah, I think meth is pretty universal.
He smoked it with like a gay prostitute, though. It was kind of like I don't think he was a guy with a meth habit who got with a gay prostitute. I think he was a guy with a gay prostitute habit who smoked meth one night. You know what I mean?
Well, there could be some crossover there. So we'll leave that open to interpretation. I think that's it for our news items, right?
News done, Devin. Let's talk about the main event.
All right. So episode 3 of the Mandalorian dropped last night on Disney Plus. I believe this episode is called The Sin. I watched it twice. You watched it once.
Yeah.
So this episode, I think we also kind of predicted that it would go. We both had our predictions.
Yeah.
And I think like my prediction in episode 2, I think I said like, obviously he's growing some infatuation with the kid and whatnot. And then you were like, I don't know. I have a feeling he's gonna turn the kid over and then leave and then come back and blah blah blah. So like, I think both of those things obviously occurred. So in this episode, it picks up. It starts off with the Mandalorian landing on the planet with Carl Weathers on it. What's his character's name?
Grief Karga.
Yeah. So he turns in the child to Werner Herzog's character, and gets paid. He gets paid.
Gets real paid.
He gets fucking
almost
paid.
Gets complete new armor. Yeah, I think I saw a leg plate. Might have been the only one that was the old one.
Yeah, he got one leg plate that was still pretty raggedy. But
well, I think he gave some of the other. He probably could have gotten a full suit, but he gave some for
to the foundlings.
And he also got those nifty ass fucking rockets on his arm, which was so dope. And what else? He the there was another part.
Well, it starts off.
The ice cream maker. He had the ice cream maker.
From Empire,
the guy
right?
has an Empire.
Yeah,
it
that's
turns
right.
out that thing is
carries
safe.
Carries a bunch of stuff. So
carries important stuff.
So he drops this kid off, and like obviously you could tell what direction this is gonna go as soon as he asks, what are they gonna do with him, with the kid? Like that's pretty much your giveaway, right off top. That okay, we're in for some shit now.
Yeah.
So he
Their answer should have been, "Oh, we're gonna send him to a secret pizza party," and they should have told him anything.
No.
They should have. Been like, "Oh, we're gonna put him in a cool
pizza party." Warning to Alex Jones, but
actually, that's a Wet Hot American Summer reference.
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
That was a matter of the van.
Add that to the list.
Where are we going?
I haven't seen.
Oh, secret pizza party.
I
love pizza.
One of Paul Rudd's greatest moments.
Yes, he's like, yeah, well,
you're not getting any.
He pushes the kid out of the car. Right. It's really fun.
Anyways, so he gets the money, he or the shit ton of Basker steel, and he leaves, and he meets up with he goes. So okay, I guess there are a bunch of Mandalorians, and they're all just kind of hiding out in a tunnel somewhere. Like I guess
because there was a purge. At some point. I'm thinking probably sometime after Star Wars Rebels. Between that and the fall of the Empire obviously destroyed Mandalore and purged all the Mandalorians, sent them to the winds. You know what I mean?
So like the remnants of the Mandalorians are all in hiding.
Yeah.
And I guess they have some
ready to fuck shit up. Apparently,
it's come out that I guess only one is allowed up to the surface at a time.
Yeah, that's just their operating procedure.
Yeah, just probably they want to keep their society close to the vest because obviously after whatever purge occurred. They're trying to keep their tribe together.
Rebuild their numbers.
Yeah. So he goes into this tunnel with all these other Mandalorians hanging around, and he sits across from the woman that forges her shit and like just opens up the safe and all this sort of stuff. And he tells her that she wants to make a signet for her for the beast that he killed, but he's like wasn't an honorable kill, so instead they're making the seeing birds, I think is what they call it, the rockets on the arm. So like she gets to work, and like it's really kind of funny to me now. Like she starts hammering on it, and as soon as he does that intense music starts playing, and he's like you can tell that he has like that stare and like the flashbacks to like, and it's really getting to me where it's like, okay, I'm gonna start working on your armor. Maybe you should sit outside. This seems to affect you in some fucked up way.
I can't tell from your helmet, but
you seem to be going off into some dark space.
If you're like any of the other Mandalorians, you're obviously using this moment to relive some traumatic memory.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is twice in a row now that whenever I built something for you, you just kind of stare it off into the distance.
I think it's pretty purposeful. I mean,
of course it's purposeful.
I think it's like it's.
I mean, it's showing like he's progressing.
Exactly.
In his maybe not status, but or he's progressing as a character.
It's a commitment to.
Yeah.
It's a commitment to becoming because he's he's obviously a foundling.
He's a foundling,
and
obviously.
So it's the more he gets his own armor, because that's the thing. The armor of Mandalorians is passed down. It's like it's like Sabine Wren says in Rebels that her armor was like 500 years old. And so the fact that he's having this armor forged for him, and it's essentially the beginning of. You know what I mean?
This
a Mandalorian clan. Yeah. It's like, this thing. And so you're seeing that. I mean, I'm sure by the end of the season, it will all, it will all tie together. But
He's got some pretty wicked armor by the end of it.
It is, dude. When he walks into the bar, you're like, people are giving him the dirty look. I was like, you think they'd be running for the hills, man?
Seriously.
He's like a walking death machine now. He had some serious Geralt moments in this episode, too.
Yeah.
Like at the very end, he was like, I gotta get one of those.
Yeah.
Like, great closing line.
Yeah.
Get one of those. Anyway, so he walks into the bar with his new decked out. He's got this badass armor on that's super shiny. And Carl Weathers is like, take a vacation, dude. Just fucking relax. You got paid I got paid too. You know, he's
Carl Weathers is acting like he acts after Happy Gilmore wins the first time. Happy Gilmore. I was like, dude, he's really joyful. He's just like living it up. You know what I mean?
He was having a good time.
It was like, that was funny. He was like the perfect guy for that.
Yeah,
he's like, I got paid too, and he had the two things.
The two things in it. And you know, like the Mandalorian was gonna take him up on that. He walks to his ship. He's got his new bounty ship. He's about to go hunt some nobleman's son or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but then he sees that lever, that baby,
it's a great
baby
little callback.
Yeah,
it was nice. I was like,
and he makes the decision as soon as he powers that ship down. It's like it's fucking on. Like this shit's gonna get real fast. And like each episode so far has carried like a really cool action set piece, right? This one definitely upped the ante. Like,
yeah, it did.
Like, and you know, the sense that I got from it, like he goes into the facility, he kills a bunch of stormtroopers, like just like eviscerates them pretty much. He gets the baby Yoda, which was a cool moment because, you know, you see the creature in the thing. And, you know, he shoots the droid and the dude's on the ground coward. He's like, what have you done to it or whatever? And you know, the guy obviously doesn't. He says that he actually saved it from being, you know, whatever. You don't really know if that's true or not, but this dude doesn't seem super threatening at all. Yeah. Like he's pretty much pissing himself at this shiny ass Mandalorian. I actually loved
about how he's like, please don't. And he looks up and the dude's just gone. The baby's gone. He just like a moment where he's just sitting there like, holy shit. You know what I mean?
And that's a real moment. Like it shows that, you know, the Mandalorian has some semblance of compassion, you know, like he could have easily killed that dude.
Yeah, had no reason not
to. No reason not to, but just didn't, you know. So he just walks out, blasts a shit ton of stormtroopers on the way. Yeah, fuck those guys.
I love when they think they got him. He's like, wait a second, hold on, I got this Bible thing. They put it down. He's like,
he's got those birds. The birds instead of the signet, he got the birds of prey or the singing birds or whatever on his arm, and they all shot off whistling.
Of course, you know when they make them, those are going to be coming back real soon. Or
don't show the gun if you aren't going to use it, right?
It's true. So, I love it too because a couple of the stormtroopers, you'd think that they would just start shooting at the Mandalorian, but they're like mystified at first. They're like, the fuck, and then it's like, you know, it was pretty great.
So when he gets out, though, like the cool thing I liked about it is it almost turned into something approximating 3:10 to Yuma. Like if you watch the remakes of that movie, like one of my favorite scenes in any movie I've watched.
The same guy that made Logan.
Yeah, James Mangold. He's awesome.
Forrest Ferrari, very good.
See that.
Just saw that.
He was actually tapped. He was in talks to do a Boba Fett movie,
which
post Shrank.
I would have loved to see that. I would still love to see that.
Yeah, I hope they canceled it.
Well, I hope they bring it back.
I mean, they made the Boba Fett movie. It's the Mandalorian.
Well, it's the Mandalorian. Yeah, I guess at this point. But anyways, so like at the end of 3:10 to Yuma, the really cool action piece is that, you know, he's trying to get to that train with Christian Bale's trying to get the train to Russell Crowe's character. And pretty much, you know, there's like a gunfight in the town and they're chasing them towards the exit. Like the bandits are on the roof and they're shooting. It's just really cool shootout in this town. And this looks exactly like that, you know, like he's walking, like all the bounty hunters, as soon as he takes this baby away, all the bounty hunters' chips start going off.
Yeah.
You know, and he's walking to the town and you just see people just kind of skulking out of the alleys and out of the shadows and shit. And like, and by the time he gets to where like the exit is, there's like a bunch of dudes that are just surrounding him. And then Carl Weathers comes out and they have their little moment. And I don't know if this was like a video effect, if they sped him up or not. But when he drew his gun and shot, that was fast as shit. Like that looked like fucking Old West. Like boom. Like I was impressed by how fast that was.
There was so much cool genre blending in this section. It was so great. And dude, when he fucking takes that rifle out and starts disintegrating guys, and they all start to kind of like collectively panic. You know what I mean? Because it's like they're just not ready for that. And then he does, which it had to be on purpose. There's no way he does the Unforgiven thing where he's like, I'm coming out. Have you seen Unforgiven?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Dude. The end of Unforgiven where he like finally drinks alcohol. It's the classic thing that they use in the Wolverine movies where, you know, this whole movie, you know, you hear about how much fucking serious, just like sociopath badass he was.
Yeah.
And then, but he seems like kind of a nice old dude, you know? And then eventually they kill Morgan Freeman and then put his body on display and it fucking big mistake.
Yeah.
Because like he starts to drink again. He tells the other guys like, you need to just get the fuck out of here, you know. And then it starts raining, and he shows up in the saloon with the fucking shotgun. He's like, whose place is this? And the guy is like, oh, it's my place. Boom! Immediate death. And then, what's his face is like, you just shot an unarmed man. He's like, he should have armed himself. And then they all fucking take out their guns, and he just fucking kills like 8 people at once. Doesn't get shot. Everyone's shooting. They all miss, because they're all nervous. They talk about that early in the film that, it's tough in a gunfight. It's like, you got to have nerves to steal, or, but everyone misses him, but he fucking kills. And so after everyone, they just fucking, eventually everyone's like dead, and there's a moment where he's like, anyone that don't want to get killed needs to get on out the back, and they all just fucking take off, right? Everyone who's still alive. And then he fucking kills little Bill, and then he goes, the writer's asking him, like, who was first? Who was next? And he's like, I'll tell you who's going to be last. And in the ultimate Geralt, that's like where it comes from. That's the source.
It's the character archetype.
Exactly.
Right?
So the guy leaves, but at the end, everyone's like waiting for him to come out. They all got their guns and stuff, but they're all fucking kind of scared shitless of him because, they've heard like legends of this guy. And he just showed up and fucking laid out half the fucking crew,
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I'm coming out. This is how it's going to go. Anyone takes a shot at me, I'm going to kill them. And I'm going to kill their wife and their family and all their friends. And I'm going to burn their goddamn house down. And everyone's just like, here I go. And he gets like out of his horse and he starts riding off and the music starts playing and a fucking guy gets him in this fucking thing and he's like looking at him and he's shaking. He's like, you do it. And then the guy's like, no. They just let him ride off because they're just fucking too scared they're going to miss and he's going to come and do what he said he was going to do. And there was a moment where like they've got him pinned down and the same deal. He's like, okay, this is how it's going to go. I'm going to walk to my thing. And I was like, oh my God, this is right out of Unforgiven. I was just like, yes, But anyway,
that was a cool moment too, though. Like I really like the interplay between Carl Weathers and the Mandalorian.
Yeah, he's not dead.
You knew he wasn't gonna be dead.
I love the fact that it was the best guy that stopped it. It was a nice little full circle.
I get the feeling he knew that thing was there because he pulled it out.
You thought that he purposely like spared him.
Yeah, I think he saw when he pulled it out and he was like, hey, well, I got rich too, and he put it right back in that spot. I think
that would be particularly daft. Although that scene where he uses this fucking thing to load turn the carbonite on, that was great. Yeah. I was just like, at that point, the show had just gone into like the stratosphere because they followed up that amazing standoff moment with
he was pinned down,
guys with jetpacks,
and then all those fucking Mandalorians just showed up in jetpack. Apparently, this dude is the only Mandalorian that doesn't have a jetpack.
Yeah,
that's why he's got to get one.
That's why he's got to get one. So like they all come down, and like it's just this epic, like the best moment, and because like and watching all of these shows and movies and shit, there's always something that I see where I'm like, now why did this character do that? Why did that happen? What blah 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 blah. This is like one of the few times where a character did exactly what they should have done. Like, when all of these dudes are coming down to start fucking people up, like, Carl Weathers takes one shot, and then, like, he's looking around, and he's like, fuck this, I'm out of here. I'm gone. He just gets out. He gets out of Dodge. And I'm like, that is the smartest thing. As soon as you see a fucking army of Mandalorians on jetpacks descending down, you fucking run the hell out of there.
That fight was over.
It was over. He was sitting there watching all these other dudes get mowed down. Like, him taking off, I was like, all right, that follows.
And that's the thing is, I kept telling Aaron, I was like, dude, these Mandalorians anytime they're gonna show up. There's no way they're gonna stand for this, dude.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And then I was like, oh man, are they gonna, I thought he was gonna make it.
We're gonna have to relocate the whatever.
They don't care.
Yeah. This is the way.
Yeah, it is the way. Yeah, it was really, in the words of Stephen King, boss. You know what I mean? The fucking flying, throwing, just randomly burning people, just fucking shit up. It was
mayhem.
Because there's a moment in the Clone Wars season 5 where Darth Maul, spoiler alert for Clone Wars season 5, Darth Maul infiltrates Mandalore with the Shadow Collective, and basically Mandalore just devolves, and there's different sects.
Yeah.
And then Obi-Wan Kenobi shows up, and it's actually, I gotta say, a really great 3-episode arc. Because Maul is all about getting revenge on Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so this is an elaborate scheme that he works out, and they make a crime syndicate. They do all this shit. And because the thing is the princess or the prime minister of Mandalore was this girl named Duchess Satine, who was Obi-Wan Kenobi's like girlfriend. Like, even though he was a Jedi and they can't do that, and unlike Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi didn't like try to do it in secret. He basically maintained his vows. However, he says that if she had agreed, or because he like early on in his career, if she had said like let's just run away together, he said I would have left the Jedi Order for her. I would have. Which you don't find out that Maul fucking puts her in prison and then draws Obi-Wan back there, and then fucking murders her in front of Obi-Wan. I mean, for a cartoon show for kids, it's dark as fuck, dude. You know, he stabs her and then he gives her back to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's just like, motherfucker, you know? But Obi-Wan has to leave. He's not in a situation. But there's a moment, dude, where he's fleeing Mandalore, and it's just, there's fucking Mandalorians flying all over around with jetpacks and fucking just, it's just super epic. There's a couple of shots where he's like standing with his lightsaber and shit's just blowing up everywhere and Mandalorians are flying. And I was like, this is some fucking Star Wars, you know what I mean? And tonight you got to see that in like live action, you know what I mean? There wasn't a guy with a lightsaber there, but there was a Baby Yoda.
There was Baby Yoda.
Mandalorians everywhere wrecking shit. And I was just like,
this was probably the most Star Wars episode.
Like, they have rocked it. I mean, they started here, they went to here, and then it was just like, you know, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so
they
like,
keep amping it up. Like, I'm not sure they got that much where to go. You know?
he gets, and that's the funny thing. Like, he gets on the plane. Carl Weathers gets shot off, but he survives. He flies up, and that's when it ends. When the other Mandalorian flies by his window with a jetpack and salutes him. And then that's when he's like, I gotta get one of those.
Yeah.
And then and then the episode ends there. And like, I felt like in these episodes, they're pretty short. Like they're 30 minutes or so, roughly around 30 minutes. And like what I said in the last review is I like how it focuses on just the Mandalorian and it's just a straight through line of his arc. I feel like these episodes, like these 3 episodes, probably if this was like a premium channel show, like HBO or whatever, these 3 episodes would have been the first episode. Like it would have just been one episode, right? Because where we end on, I felt like the ending of this episode is like, okay, now the story begins. Because like we're introduced to the character, we're introduced to the world, we're introduced to the conundrum. We've got the kid in there. We've got the inciting incident for what the rest of the story is going to be about. Like he betrayed the guild. He betrayed Werner Herzog. He's got the kid.
Things can never be the same from this point on.
Right.
And usually that's what happens in the pilot of a
Which
series.
is why I was saying this feels like episode 1. Like
sure.
the end of
I
episode
can see
1.
that.
Yeah.
I mean,
how many episodes is in this season?
8.
8?
So we've got 5
a little over a third.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, the thing is that like the episodes are so awesome. Generally, there's just no filler. It's all killer, no filler.
It's all awesome.
It's like I'm good. I'm good with that. It can be 30 minutes and be that cool. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like this is and so I guess my takeaway on this episode is that like this sets up for what I think. Like this sets up for what the show's going to be about, and like the characters are. I read an article, I think I may have sent it to you guys, where someone was like bitching about like they need another character to pal around with the Mandalorian because, you know, he can't see his face, he doesn't have anyone to talk to, he doesn't really say a lot, blah, 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 blah. I'm
like, sounds great.
That's the opposite read that I got. Yeah. Like, I feel like this character...
That's the kind of note that ruins shit.
Yeah,
from executives. You know, can we take the mask off every once in a while? I mean, you know... I mean, just, you know, it'd be great to see his face. A famous actor, you know? It's like, honestly...
Like, why aren't we paying Pedro Pascal if we can't see his face?
Exactly.
That's what they said.
I like how our executives are like a stereotypical white guy in a comedy act, you know what I mean? He's like, can I have a small steak and fries? But I was telling Aaron when we were watching it, I was just like, it's funny because the mask, because you never see his face, you kind of project... your own shit
right
on the character, you know,
a little bit,
you know, it's like what you're kind of, you know, you don't see his face, but you're assuming they do a good job. Like you know, for whatever reason, it's like seeing his vibe. You know, you get a sense for, you know, like when he's bummed out, when he's dejected, when he's, You know, and you can't ever see his face. But Aaron's like, you know, he's doing really subtle things with his movements and the way I've noticed in his very little things he does. I mean, they've done a good job of depicting that. Like when he was looking at the Jawas and he was just like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I know.
All kinds of like little things. They've just done a great job for a dude, and then we never see his face. It's like, you know, and I gotta say, how cool does that fucking helmet look? Holy shit, dude. I mean, in every frame, I'm just like, dude, he looks so badass. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, I think that criticism is way out in left field. Like, I think the character is being portrayed awesome. Like, the body language that he's using to like, sort of, you know, with his shoulder slump or he shakes his head or he sort of like, sorts of things like that. And just the way that he bounces off. He's got these other people that he can play to really well. Like, Carl Weathers, he plays with really well. Werner Herzog, he plays with really well. Even the Yoda puppet, like, that thing is adorable as fuck. And,
they hit a fucking grand slam with that Yoda puppet.
Yeah, and like,
they're
it's
supposedly already rushing it to stores because kids are going nuts. They want it for Christmas and shit, you know. And it looks great.
It does look great.
I know it's like a puppet, but also some CGI. Whatever it is,
it looks
fucking great.
And it works with
made Werner Herzog cry supposedly.
Yeah. Oh boy, you made a German cry.
That's what he said. He was like
knocking it out.
I cried when I saw it. You know, it is a marvelous creature, whatever. You know what I mean?
Which is funny. Like yeah. So like I think like so the series begins anew from here, and I think and this episode was amazing. I think it's the best episode so far of the three, by far.
I mean, and that's saying a lot.
That's saying a lot because the first two were great.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's killing.
I think that Jon Favreau. I think it's funny that Jon Favreau, who is the godfather of the MCU. You know, he did Iron Man. He's the one that started all that. He's bringing to this series like the same level of epicness and awesomeness that made me like those movies, and it's drawing me back into Star Wars.
He's a great. I mean, the thing is, Jon Favreau is a great writer.
Yeah, he's a great writer.
I mean, like
he did write this one too, right? I think.
He wrote all of them. Okay. So, but I think he wrote Swingers, and Swingers was fucking great.
Yeah.
So that movie's great.
And he dated
now. It's a 90s.
No,
but
it's still.
Then he directed. He wrote and directed. Made
was funny. It was different.
Vince Vaughn has some ultimate moments in that one.
Vince Vaughn in Made sits down and this is whatever you do not mention Red Dragon.
Yeah, you must be the Red Dragon.
And within 6 seconds of sitting down with this guy, he's like, so like when we talk about the Red Dragon or whatever, he's like, no.
We'll add that one to the list too, Devin.
Okay. All right. I think that's what we have.
But I do want to add one thing.
Sure. What's up?
We don't want to forget to mention, because everyone is praising it, this one is directed by Deborah Chow.
Yeah,
Obi-Wan,
dude.
She's going to be directing the Obi-Wan series.
So this is the director of the Obi-Wan series.
Yes,
and I mean honestly, if she brings what she brought to this episode, this was a good episode.
Let's go. Let's do it.
I'm all about that. Well, I had one note on a segue to go back to something else before we call it a day. So on the Elon Musk thing.
Oh boy, we're going back to that.
Only for a second. You know, watch a movie called Tucker, A Man in His
Oh
Room.
yes,
it's a Francis Ford Coppola movie. Okay. You know what I mean about the Tucker. It's a really good movie.
Devin could watch his third Coppola movie.
Okay,
watch it, and then and after watching it, you might be willing to cut Elon Musk a little more slack. You know
Unlikely,
I mean?
But I'll take your advice.
I'm not saying it's a very interesting movie. You know what I mean? About what it's like to be an innovator in the car field.
I mean, I'm sure it's hard and all that shit. I mean, it's no excuse to be a doofus, but I'll watch it. I'll watch it, and then we'll see if my thoughts on Elon Musk change.
I'm not saying that he's not a doofus occasionally, but I generally think that he gets. People are just a little bit they come at him all the time. You know what I mean? It just seems. I'm just like, it seems like I get a lot.
Well, I think a part of that is also because he's receptive to it, right?
You're right.
It's like that. It's like what we said last time. Don't beat the trolls.
Don't roll around in the dirt with a pig. Because at the end of the day, the pig enjoys it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, yes,
he's a little too receptive.
He needs to grow up a little bit, but with that stuff. But I mean, generally, his vibe. You know, he's trying to create a Jetsons reality. You know what I mean? And at least he's doing that and not figuring out ways that the fucking headliner comes off your fucking headlining at 100,000 miles. So you're literally forced to buy a new fucking car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or have a headliner in your face, which is what, most car companies spent millions of dollars trying to figure out just the right glue that will come off, anyway.
Yeah, well.
I'll
give it a shot.
Planned obsolescence.
All right. That's our show. We'll be back next week to talk about the new episode of The Mandalorian then. Again, if you like this video, subscribe, hit the like button. I think there's even a bell you have to click on now on YouTube.
It's a notification,
yeah,
like
so
thing,
that, which is like, that's the fucking subscribe button. Like, why do you have to to click on the bell to get notifications whenever a new video is uploaded? But that should happen when you subscribe, shouldn't it?
I've never hit a bell, so I don't know.
I've only subscribed to like Blender tutorials. I have no idea like what.
This all works in some mysterious way. You know how it works out there, so do the thing you know how to do.